That's right.
Coach, how big of a deal is it that Coach Inge is on your staff, facing DeBoer? Or is that kind of stuff overblown from the media?
Yeah, probably a little bit. He's not going to go out there and make no tackles, right? Or no interceptions. But, obviously he's familiar, with Coach. But at the end of the day, our guys got to go out there and execute. We've talked a little bit about it, but he doesn't have any more than, what we can see on tape, if that makes sense. So it's great having Inge. He's done a tremendous job for us this season. And, this game will be no different for him.
Coach, what allowed Boo to play as productive as he was in the game last week, and how would you kind of describe his progression through the first half of his freshman season?
Yeah, it's about what you would expect as a freshman. There's a learning curve for him. There have been some really good highs. There's obviously been some lows, but the highs have been coming and coming and coming. So he's right where we hoped he would be. He's getting better every week. He's a tremendous talent. He wants to be great. He's working at it. We're all obviously really proud of the production that he showed this weekend.
Tim, it seemed like Ricky took a step forward this past week as well. What did you see from him? And then the quarterback or cornerback tandem in general seemed like Jamad had a really nice performance as well.
Yeah, honestly, those guys have been playing well all season. Obviously we're playing a lot of great, talented teams, and, those guys are going to make some plays. But I think if you just look at the total, body of work, Ricky has been, exactly what we hoped he would be. We've talked to Nazim about Jamad and, what he brings to the table. And, I'm just really proud of those guys. They competed their tails off, and when you get in this league, that's what's expected for us to be able to play at a championship level. So we just, expect those guys to continue to grow in that area and continue to get better.
Got to ask you how it hit you losing Keenan Pili and then everything involved with that and how the guys did in taking his place during that game.
Yeah, you guys know, man, that's devastating, for us, for a program. It's very rare that you find, a great kid, but also a great player, and he was having such a great season for us. He's a smart kid, he's a leader. My wife went to bed talking about him. She was crushed, and she woke up talking about it. So, he meant the world to us. He's just a tremendous kid, tremendous player, great family. It hurts, to be quite honest, because he put so much work into it. You wanted to see him, finish this thing on his terms. So, but the good news is I know he's going to respond, and, this kid's going to be a leader in the community. And, I don't think his football days are over. He's that talented. So, we pray for him, pray for his family, and, we wish him nothing but the best. I know he'll be with us and continue, being around the program. But, yeah, it was extremely hurtful. Yeah, I think, as far as, on the field, it's a little bit by committee at this point. T-Lander's done a tremendous job for us, all season in his role. And, obviously his role will continue to increase at this point. But all the linebackers will. I don't think you'll be able to replace KP. I think it'll be a lot just by committee. And I think those guys are all up for the challenge.
Tim, when you look at the teams that have had some success keeping Jalen Milroe contained from running, does it look like that's accomplished more in terms of plan or execution? In other words, is that accomplished during game week or game day?
Well, I think it's just like anything, when you have a great player, you got to get used to it. You can't simulate that in practice, just his athleticism, his speed, his strength of his arm. It's just a lot of things that he brings to the table that's challenging for a defense. So I think, obviously when the game goes and we get a feel for, his speed and the way he moves around, we'll be able to settle in. But, he's definitely a great challenge for us. And, I know our kids are excited about the opportunity. Well, yeah, it's a lot of them. But, Navy's obviously a really good athlete for us. And, he did a really good job for us today. But, we're trying to move different guys there to try to, again, show it to us. But, we don't have one of those guys on our team right now. They're not going to let us, get our guy on that side. So that's all we got.
Tim, Christian Charles obviously had a pretty good game the other night. I know he's been battling a little bit of a shoulder. Just to kind of watch him persevere and push through and have some success. How good is that from a coaching standpoint, but also what's it taken for him to get to this point?
Man, you just talk about a tremendous worker, a positive kid. He's been through a lot. I'll be honest, I'm like a proud dad when I watch, this kid finally see some fruits of his labor. He's just a worker, and, he started some games around here. People forget that. He started against LSU a couple years ago at corner for us, and, You know, he has battled a lot of injuries, but he's never dropped his head. He's continued to fight. Yeah, and he did. He had a tremendous game for us. You know, we wouldn't have been able to win and play as well as we did, you know, without him. So I'm just super proud of him. And, you know, like he said, like he'll be the first one to tell you, he thinks his best football is still ahead of him.
Arion Carter, I feel like, continues to have his best game the next game. What have you seen most from him that's allowed him to have the success on the field?
It's just the work, you know, behind the scenes. You know, he's a tireless worker, you know, just from the mental perspective, you know, just understanding how teams are going to try to attack us, you know, not just in the run game, but even in the passing game. So, you know, nothing's by accident. You know, he's a poster child, but putting in the extra work, you know, mentally, and you're starting to see it show up week in and week out. So, you know, he's only a sophomore, true sophomore. You know, we think the lights, I mean, the ceiling is extremely high for him, but we just love the direction he's headed right now.
With Keenan out, do you know yet who will be taking over the in-helmet communication on the field?
Yeah, you know, we bounce it around anyway. You know, we haven't really made a concrete decision on that, you know, at this point. But, you know, I'm pretty sure it'll be by committee, you know, just based on who's in the game and, you know, what backers are in the game, so to speak. So. I don't know that there is, you know, because we've kind of, you know, moved it around a ton. You know, we've played different linebackers all season. So we've had to move it around a little bit. You know, I think it's just, you know, what packages are we in to make sure the right guy has it on is probably the biggest issue. But Coach Inge and our staff has done a tremendous job making sure that, you know, only one guy has it on and it's the right guy.
Coach, obviously you don't ever want to have an injury like Keenan had, but just given the spot that happened in the game, I mean, how much more of an idea do you have now of how those guys will handle, you know, him not being on the field, especially in a game that close?
Yeah, like I said, you can't replace him, his leadership and, you know, his overall God-gifted ability. I think it's just, like I said earlier, it's just a committee. You know, we try to put guys in the right spots to be successful. You know, how we call the game, you know, where we put them is always key. But, you know, we got a good feel for our guys. You know, like I said, T. Landers played a ton of ball. AC's played a ton of ball. Jalen has played some ball for us. So we have some guys, and I'm very confident, you know, that they'll be in and ready for the challenge. But, yeah, there is obviously a learning curve.
You guys were terrific in the red zone defense on Saturday night. What made that so effective? And two, I think you've given up 2 fourth-down conversions and 10 tries. Why have you guys been good in that area as well?
Yeah, I think as far as the red zone goes, you know, the guys are just straining, you know, whether you're in the big field, whether you're in the goal line. You know, we talk about putting the ball down and, you know, having a chance to play another snap, you know, and that's just a mentality thing. You know, as far as the fourth downs go, I think it's in that same ballpark. You know, if we're still playing, you know, third down, fourth down, you know, we want to play as hard as we can, and, you know, we want to try to out-execute people. So, you know, to me, it's just a hats off to our defense and just how hard those guys play and how detailed they are, you know, in situational football.
Well, Brent just sort of asked my question, so I'll try to spin off it a little bit. Is there anything that from y'all for the red zone defense when the field's compressed, all the plays that are being made, is there a way to translate that to before things get to that point, or is that just is this defense just for whatever reason much better in the red zone?
Well, I like to think we just playing great defense, but, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, you would like for them not to be, you know, in the red zone, but, you know, things happen, you know, in the course of the game. You know, I think the biggest issue is not panicking, you know, when you get put in those situations. Yeah, you know, it's been different years. You know, I've been at different places, and we've been outstanding in the red zone. You know, and obviously this place is no different, you know, so. All right, appreciate you guys. Thank you.